Yeah, Blair, in a one-on-one drill, what day is today? Wednesday. On Monday, kind of maybe an MCL. It's not a significant thing. If there's any surgery, it'll be a scope, but he was doing one-on-one and just his foot kind of caught, was on the turf inside, but it's not serious. It's not altering. It's just kind of a drag thing these last 2 days.
Kevin said meniscus on that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
On the two return missionary quarterbacks, are you going to consider maybe redshirting one, or is that too early to say?
Too early to say. Then the good news is we have summer, spring, fall camp, and we'll have a lot. If the summer practices go the way I think they will, we'll have a really good idea, maybe mid-fall camp, as to what we might do. And because we have so many that reps could only be distributed to probably 2, with a third getting some. And so we'll have to make that decision at some point.
You've moved Austin Jorgensen back to Sam.
Austin wanted to come back. He was hoping for a chance, I think, to break into maybe a little bit more playing time, maybe a more significant role, and after at fullback, and so the depth now we have him at outside linebacker with Coach Papinga. We have at that spot Spencer Hadley and Lonnie Fua, so they're still players, but he would give us 3 deep there.
Last year, you guys announced team captains after the spring. What's your plan?
Yeah, I was hopeful at that point and really believed, and I think looking back at it, it was a mistake, but I felt it was right at that time. Our leadership council is named, and with 29 seniors, I don't feel a need to anoint or designate leaders at this point as captains. That'll happen after fall camp like we've done the previous 6 years. So I experimented a year ago. Thought I was doing the right thing at the right time, but for that team, I didn't like just some of the byproducts that I didn't see coming, and so yeah.
What was the mistake part of that, do you think, looking back?
Hard to know. Just you try to predict and think that maybe if you anoint or if the team votes for a couple of captains there through spring, well, a lot of times there are hurt players that are very, very good players that have a lot of influence that the team kind of forgets about a little bit during spring and doesn't see them. And so I don't think ultimately they were given enough consideration. We built in special teams captains that ended up kind of giving us that chance. But with the number of injuries that happened in spring, I underestimated that the players wouldn't take those guys into account, even though they were significant contributors. And it's literally the out of sight, out of mind when it comes to practice, and how much that weighted on the voting. I didn't see that coming.
Bronco, talk about Ziggy and just he's becoming a football player, and just now he's learning 2 different positions.
He's more than a football player. He is talented, and he now understands the game, and he's now playing 2 positions when 2 years ago he didn't know how to put on his equipment. I mean, that transition in 2 years, there might be a chance for him based on his year with his size and speed and the way he plays special teams. He might play after college, which is, he's not even on scholarship. It could be a tremendous story. And again, I don't want the prediction or the headline to be that Ziggy Ansah NFL player, but if he continues to do what he's done the past 2 and does that this year, that wouldn't be out of the question, that would be a remarkable story.
It seems frequently that you have players move from one position to another. This year you've had players learning multiple positions. Is that common, or is this a little different this year with some of these guys doing these like Ziggy is?
Little different with a little bit more experience to provide some depth, to never put us at risk based on who we're playing, and if we lose one, we have cross-trained someone else. So we're actually adding depth without actually adding players, which is nice to be able to do because they're in the system long enough to be able to do that.
Do you think that's something you'll look at doing more in the future?
Man, I'd love to. And the key to that is keeping players trained well enough at different classes to where when one leaves, the next one is already trained and ready to go, and he's been in the system long enough where he not only knows his spot, but he understands the defense well enough where you can insert him somewhere else, and he still knows what that job is supposed to be and how to do it. And that's, I think, program maturity is reflective of that a little bit.
Back to Ziggy. What was your first impression when you saw him come in and you talked about
He came into my office and talked first about the chance to play football, and I described it, and I said, number one, I don't know you, and I don't trust you, and I don't even know if you can make it through a workout. And so he went and I certainly didn't believe he'd ever play after watching him go through winter conditioning because he couldn't get enough oxygen, to finish a drill. And didn't look like he wanted to very bad. And then his English is kind of broken, so he wasn't communicating very well, which I was then thinking he wasn't interested or wasn't passionate about trying, and he just kept showing up every day, in which I was wondering why. I never thought he would even make it to fall camp, and he did, and then we helped him put his stuff on, and the rest is kind of history. But yeah, unlikely it would be an understatement that I believed he'd be at this point.
Can I ask about a few guys that Kevin didn't have that maybe you know about or not? Cody Hoffman?
Class today.
Okay.
And the past couple of days with meetings, etc., even though finals are 2 weeks away, he had a 4:30 or 3:30 today, I think.
Mike Muehlman?
Class as well.
Sote?
Don't know. I believe same thing. Project. Class or project.
Alani too?
Yep.
Okay. And John Lamont, do you happen to know about him or not?
No.
Okay. The way the guys have done pursuit the last couple of days, you might be expecting a lot out of them in August. They're doing it pretty well nowadays.
They're doing it pretty well. Sometimes I like just for them not to know what's coming. And it might be 30 tomorrow, or 30 the next practice, and might be 1 today, and they have to kind of be ready for anything. And they just happen to have spun the wheel twice and got 1. That doesn't mean Friday will be that.
Spun the wheel. That's
Yeah.
good. Okay.
All right,
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah.